Imagine an employee learns that they have been promoted, not from their manager, not from human resources, but from three witches standing in the middle of a lonely Scottish heath. They would probably ask for that in writing. This is Between the Lines with Smitha, where we explore the hidden meanings in literature one line at a time. Welcome back. In our last lesson, we observed how Shakespeare carefully constructed Macbeth as Scotland's greatest hero. Before Macbeth even stepped onto the stage, the wounded Captain King Duncan and Ross had persuaded us that he was brave, honorable, and worthy. Today, Macbeth finally appears, but within moments, he encounters three mysterious figures who seem to know more about his future than he does. And that leads us to today's question: do the witches create Macbeth's ambition, or do they simply awaken what already lies dormant within him? Let's find out. Shakespeare opens the scene with the words, "Thunder, enter the three witches." This stage direction immediately takes us back to the opening scene. The storm has returned, the witches have returned, and once again, nature itself appears disturbed. In Shakespeare's plays, thunder is never merely weather. It is a dramatic signal that the natural order is about to be challenged. And then enter Macbeth and Banquo. Macbeth's first words are, "So foul and fair a day I have not seen." At first glance, this sounds like a simple description of the weather. The day is fair because Scotland has won the battle, but it is foul because the battlefield is filled with blood, death, and destruction. However, Shakespeare is doing something much more subtle. Listen carefully. The witches ended scene 1 by chanting, "Fair is foul and foul is fair." Now, without ever having met them, Macbeth unknowingly echoes their words, "So foul and fair." This is no coincidence. The verbal echo immediately establishes a mysterious connection between Macbeth and the witches. It is as though he's already speaking their language. The audience begins to wonder, are these supernatural beings influencing Macbeth? Or is there already something within Macbeth that responds to them? The witches greet Macbeth with three titles. The first says, "All hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Glamis." Nothing unusual. Macbeth already possesses this title. Then comes the second greeting. "All hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor." Now Macbeth is visibly confused. He has no idea that Duncan has already awarded him this title. Only the audience knows that Ross is on his way with the news. This is dramatic irony. We know something the protagonist does not. And suddenly, the witches become frighteningly believable. Then comes the third greeting. "All hail Macbeth, thou shalt be king hereafter." Notice Shakespeare's progression: present, immediate future, distant future with each greeting. The temptation grows. The prophecy gradually leads Macbeth's imagination towards the crown. Banquo notices something remarkable. He says about Macbeth that he seems wrapped withal. Macbeth barely speaks, yet his face reveals everything. The word wrapped means completely absorbed, spellbound, and captivated. The prophecy has already taken hold of Macbeth's imagination. Before he has made a single decision, his thoughts are already racing ahead. At that very moment, Ross arrives. He greets Macbeth with a message from King Duncan that he has to call him Thane of Cawdor. Everything changes. Only moments after hearing the witch's prophecy, one part of it has already come true. Immediately, Macbeth has a reason to wonder if they were right about Cawdor, could they also be right about the crown? Shakespeare brilliantly establishes the witch's credibility. Now, Shakespeare allows us inside Macbeth's mind for the very first time through Macbeth's aside. Glams and Thane of Cawdor, the greatest is behind. Notice how quickly Macbeth leaps to the final prophecy. He hardly pauses to celebrate becoming Thane of Cawdor. His imagination rushes straight to kingship. Ambition has begun. Then he quietly turns to Banquo. Do you not hope your children shall be kings? This is an extraordinary moment. Macbeth isn't simply thinking about the prophecy anymore. He's testing it, sharing it, exploring the possibilities. The seed has already begun to grow. Unlike Macbeth, Banquo remains cautious. He cautions, the instruments of darkness tell us truths, win us with honest trifles, to betray us in deepest consequence. This may be one of the wisest observations in the entire play. Observe that Banquo doesn't deny the witches speak the truth. Instead, he questions why they speak the truth. The phrase honest trifles is crucial. The witches tell small truths to gain Macbeth's trust. Only then can they lure him towards much greater destruction. Banquo understands something Macbeth does not. The greatest deception is often built upon a small truth. But Macbeth's thoughts have already moved much further. He asks himself, if good, why do I yield to that suggestion? Observe that no one has mentioned murder. Not the witches, not Ross, not Banquo. The thought comes entirely from Macbeth himself. Shakespeare vividly conveys Macbeth's psychological turmoil through physical imagery. His hair stands on end, his heart pounds violently, his body reacts before his mind can control it. The guilt arrives before the crime. Then comes one of Shakespeare's most profound psychological insights. Present fears are less than horrible imaginings. Reality is no longer frightening. His imagination is. The murder exists only as a thought. Yet that thought terrifies him more than anything happening around him. Macbeth continues, my thoughts, whose murder yet is but fantastical. One word changes everything. Murder. The idea has originated within Macbeth's own mind. Shakespeare quietly answers our central question. The witches never tell Macbeth to kill Duncan. Macbeth invents that possibility himself. Finally, Macbeth says, function is smothered in surmise, and nothing is but what is not. Reason has been overwhelmed by imagination. The language itself echoes the witch's paradox. Fair is foul and foul is fair. Reality begins to dissolve. Macbeth is entering the witch's moral universe, not physically, but psychologically. Yet, for a moment, his conscience still resists. He concludes, if chance will have me king, why chance may crown me without my stir? Perhaps he doesn't need to do anything. Perhaps fate will make him king without violence. For one fleeting moment, Macbeth considers allowing destiny to take its natural course. Now we can answer today's question. Do the witches create Macbeth's ambition? No, they simply awaken it. They never tell Macbeth to murder Duncan. They never tell him to seize the crown. They merely speak. Everything that follows comes from Macbeth himself. Shakespeare's tragedy is not the story of a man controlled by witches, it is the story of a man destroyed by his own choices. So I'll leave you pondering over the situation. Shakespeare has given us two men standing in the same place, hearing the same words at the same moment. Yet, from this point onwards, their paths will never be the same. What separates Macbeth from Banquo? We will begin answering that question in our next lesson. Until then, keep looking, keep questioning, keep reading between the lines. I'm Smitha. Thank you for joining me.